Hello and welcome back to Spirit Mom. Today at Spirit School, we're going to discuss the 2014 movie Into the Woods. It's a musical with Meryl Streep and Anna Kendrick, Emily Blunt, even Johnny Depp has a little cameo in it, and it actually wasn't well reviewed. It only has like a 5.9 on IMDb. It's 5 something. And when I first watched it, I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite musical. But upon rewatching it now in our awakening, because when it first came out, we weren't waking up. We should have been, but we weren't. And this is apparent now because upon rewatching it, it is deeply profound, and I recommend you go watch it right now because it has so many insights in it. That's why I think people don't like it. It does shine a huge light down on humanity's sucking, on how we are not that great. And I realized, and I'm sure the writers know this, and other people probably know this, but it's new to me and maybe it's new to you, that into the woods means into the shadow, like the shadow self. So I'll give you a little rundown, and spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil because I have to for this to be made relevant. So if you just want to go watch the movie for yourself, you don't want spoilers to happen, shut me off now. Go watch Into the Woods. It's on Disney Plus if you have it. It could be on other platforms too, I'm not sure, but Disney Plus has it if you have a subscription, which I do. So, Into the Woods is it's like if you've ever seen Wicked. It's not a movie, but it's because this is a Broadway play originally, and so is Wicked, where they take the story of Oz, but they redo it on a more human aspect of the bad guy. Well, this is similar. It is taking the human aspects of Cinderella, Jack and the Beanstalk, the baker's story, which is a more unknown fairy tale story about these two bakers that can't have kids because they're cursed by a witch. Then there is Little Red Riding Hood, and that's the main ones. Yes, because you have Jack, Little Red, Cinderella, and then the two bakers, and those are your main players. Oh, plus Rapunzel has as she's kind of a background character with her man, but they're side characters. They're not overly relevant. I didn't notice anything super profound with their story, but all the rest have definite profound things that happen in it. Like you see the whole Cinderella prince thing, they eventually get together, but then they realize this running away love they had once they're together, it's not what they thought, and they have this quote where I liked you at a distance and I liked you as the fair maiden, and then they don't work out. The whole thing basically does not work out. The main players are Emily Blunt and her husband, and they are basically the stars of the movie. And Emily Blunt becomes this beloved character you love that ends up having, where her and her husband are the main focus, but then she has this side crush on the prince, and then the prince ends up kissing her because he's kind of loose and she likes it, and they're happy. And then she has this profound song about being in the woods, meaning in the shadow, and trying to figure out life and humanity and our moments, our life, and if life was moments. And it's literally like a philosophical speech. And she's basically the star of the movie, but then she just dies. Very unspectacular, just gone. It's the whole movie is just, it's kind of sad, but it's good. It's perfectly done. So it's 5.9 is literally just people not liking seeing their own ugly selves put on the big screen because the writing is perfect. The songs are amazing. The acting is phenomenal. Everything about it's good. What they don't like is that the characters are realistic. Everything in it, everybody's real. The prince is one of his main things. He's one of my quotes here. He says, I was raised to be charming, not sincere. I didn't ask to be born a prince, and I am not perfect. I am only human. Because the prince, this is when him and Cinderella are having their talk of, the little birdies told her what happened, that he's like a cheater, and they're supposed to be this epic love story because it's so cool. The whole movie has this big plot where the bakers are trying to have a baby, and they interact with all the characters trying to break the curse of the witch. But while they're doing that, they're doing some shady stuff. And they just really show their humanity as they're going through the story, which which movies have done before. This isn't, oh my God, a movie that showed humans in their real form. Yes, but we're talking a Disney movie, and we're talking taking our mythology has become these fairy tales, like archetypes, you know, like our archetypes that are actually in our collective subconscious. They either come from these, or the fairy tales exist because of our subconscious. It's like the chicken and the egg thing. Are they there because of our archetypes, or are our archetypes because of these stories? It's a both kind of situation. So you're seeing our fairy tale wonderful archetypes just being hammered at and showing how not perfect they are, how everybody is human, and they are good people though at the same time. Like, let's go back to another quote here. And this is Meryl Streep playing a witch. And fun fact here, she had a no witch rule, because when she said she turned 40, I think she said she had 2 or 3 people ask her to be a witch that year alone. And so she made a no witch rule until this came along, because it's such a good story. Like, the things she says, she could be a wise Gandalf, except, well, let's read the quote. You're so nice. You're not good. You're not bad. You're just nice. I'm not good. I'm not nice. I'm just right. I'm the witch. You're the world. So she is the smart Gandalf, but that doesn't make her good. She knows. She calls them on all their poo, because they're all kind of like, oh, how could this happen? It's your fault. It's your fault. They're all playing the blame game with each other at the end of the movie, because Jack's giant that he pulls down. Remember how Jack kills the man giant? Well, his wife comes down and is like, yo, you killed my husband. I'm going to kill you. And she's really upset, and they're trying to make her the bad guy, but she's just a sad wife. And then they all start blaming each other. It's this real human moment. But then the witch, she has her huge song, which I love that song. Which that quote's part of that song, and then she disappears into the ground, like she just can't even handle it anymore, like I'm done with you all, and just chooses to go to hell or die. I don't know. She gets sucked up by the earth, and there she's gone. But this is an earlier quote by her, which this is going to be a big one, so stay with me here. Careful the wish you make. Wishes are children, and we've talked about this before. The wishes you make, wishes are children. So we're talking manifestations. We're talking, be careful what you put out there into the ether, your vibrations. Remember, your thoughts are vibrations. And when you put it out there, it's out there forever. And it's now, that's what she's saying, careful. They are children. You've just made something that's alive, and it's going to carry on. Careful the path they take, wishes come true, not free. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you see. So sometimes the spell you cast, what you want, goes farther than what you think. Like, you have an idea, but it can take on a life of its own. So sometimes the spell may last past what you see and turn against you. So it's even saying it could turn dark. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. So what you even say about your day-to-day life, the tale you tell, what is your tale? What is your fairy tale? Because you're casting a spell of what you want to see in the world with your story, your woundology, which we mentioned, I think, yesterday. Your story is your spell you are casting on the world. And then it goes on to children will listen. And this part here I think is profound for actual children. So it's very poetic, very, very philosophical, how it has like double meanings here. Like how we could be talking about children and how we're talking about our manifestations. Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn, to learn what to be. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. I was raised to be, oh, now we moved into the next one. So that was it. So careful before you say, listen to me, children will listen. So it's kind of the monkey see, monkey do thing right there. It's a big old fancy, but I think it's just profound that because she's singing about, the whole movie's so layered. So I think it got a bad rating because people just didn't understand it. They didn't understand the depth, and they didn't like seeing their own humanity splashed in their face. Because this is the big theme of my show, is that we do kind of suck, but that's okay and we can fix it. But into the woods, into the shadow, into the woods, into the shadow. There's a lot of the songs are about into the woods, and it's very poetic because the shadow is poetic. The shadow is abstract. Digging out our problems is such a nuanced game because we don't want to go looking for the traumas. We don't want to go looking for what's wrong with us, but at the same time, we want to be vigilant and see what's wrong with us. Because if you dig stuff up, you can re-traumatize yourself. But if you ignore it, you're traumatizing other people and you're not fixing yourself. You're not ascending. And this entire movie is about look at yourself as they all continue to not look at themselves. It's like a two hour and like 5-6 minute movie. And for the good chunk, they're not looking at themselves. So we're talking like 3/4 of the movie, and it literally looks like it's going to end after Cinderella and the prince get married and the Bakers have their baby. They're like, and they all lived happily ever after. And then all of a sudden, Jack's giant comes down, the earth starts shaking, and they're like, or maybe not, because there's a narrator. And yeah, sure enough, nope, because no one dealt with their demons. Nobody dug up the shadow. They were all into the woods, but they were doing it like unconsciously. You watch them pitter about, making mistakes, not being sorry for it, and just only having their own goals in mind, and that's it. And the one Baker's husband, he's the only one that seems to be kind of aware of being nice, but that's why Meryl Streep says, you're so nice, you're not good, you're not bad, you're just nice. Because being nice is something we all suffer with. We all want to be polite and nice, but are we actually true good people? That's something we really want to dig into as well, to find out if we're good people. Okay, so then the last quarter of the movie is just nothing but problems. Almost everyone's dead by the end, and the people that are left have had a true awakening. They've all had their own little awakening moments, their growing moments, and Cinderella has this beautiful thing that honestly people should have tattooed on them. And when she says to the prince, when they kind of have the really quick breakup, she's like, my father's house was a nightmare, because we know the story of Cinderella. My father's house was a nightmare. Your house was a dream. Now I want something in between. So she wants reality. She wants like actual living. So she doesn't want like a fantasy life, and she doesn't want a hell life. She wants a real life, which is just, oh, beautiful. And the last quote we'll leave here with the movie is just beautiful, and it's just about nature. It's actually not even the shadow stuff, but it's still very relevant for our world, because a lot of people are waking up about nature, but this says it here. We are part of nature. We are nature. So we need to stay in nature to remind ourselves of who we are, to find the sense of belonging that we search for, which is funny because I find it one of the only quotes singing, because they're always singing about into the woods, where that one's actually mentioning about nature, because they have so many things about into the woods that's clear. You're like, this has nothing to do with the woods. Like Emily Blunt has this one song, and her and the prince have this moment where they're being naughty, where they're smooching and they're blaming the woods. It's because we're in the woods. That has nothing to do with the woods. You know what I mean? Like, you can go into the woods and not smooch a dude, you know? It's like the woods, and they don't even say like there's nothing accursed about the woods or anything. So it's the shadow. They're talking about the shadow. When you go to your shadow, you're buried, your subconscious stuff that you don't think is there, it's there. You're not good, or you're just nice. That you're not good, you're just nice. We need to dig out our goodness, because we should be good. We should be good. It's not okaying and greenlighting us not being good. She's trying to just bring awareness to, you're not good, you're just nice. And she's not good or nice, but she's right, which is just amazing, showing that you can be smart, but not good or nice. So I don't know if you got what I got from that movie. I recommend go watch that movie right now and watch it with the lens of, because I actually didn't even go into watching it with the lens. I was just watching a movie with my daughter because it's a Saturday and I thought that would be nice. And then I was just left like, wow. Because I've watched that movie before a couple times when it first came out. But I was starting to awaken then. I've been awakening since 2012 when we got The Shake, you know? And it just didn't hit the way it hit this time, you know? Because I love musicals. Musical theater was my passion, but I just didn't get the spiritual awakening aspect of it. And I'm not one of those people that go around seeing spiritual awakenings in every movie. This one was obvious, and I think the writers knew what they were doing. The writers of the movie knew what they were shooting out there at you. They were shaking you awake, as they literally have the giant shaking the ground as it walks around in the whole last quarter of the movie, walking around like getting everyone. The whole ground is shaking, so they're literally kind of obviously shaking you awake. It's hilarious, like hilariously, like profound, not like comically funny. Watch it, you have to. It'll open your eyes, especially if you love poetry and musicals, but even if you don't, it will enlighten you to a new degree. Okay, people, goodbye for now. Spirit Mom.